Hey everybody, it's your pal Mike Shea from slyflourish.com and twitter.com/slyflourish, here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy DM Prep. This is a weekly show that I do at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, in which I prepare for my Sunday D&D game using steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. This show is brought to you by the fine backers of Sly Flourish on Patreon at patreon.com/slyflourish. They make all of this stuff happen. The backers of Sly Flourish help pay for the bandwidth and help pay for... Oh, now I have a different kitty. The cats are up there figuring out where they're going to be. The Patreon backers help make, they help pay for all the equipment. They help pay for the bandwidth. They help pay for the website. They help pay for all of the expenses that are occurred to keep the Sly Flourish empire alive. So we are in the middle of a Ghost of Saltmarsh game. The characters just finished the Sea Ghost, so we can talk about how the Sea Ghost went. It actually went really well. It was a lot of fun. And now they are headed back to Saltmarsh with their new ship, the Sea Ghost. I think they're going to rename it, even though renaming a ship is apparently bad luck. They're doing it anyway. And are going to begin on the next phase of their adventure, the Danger at Dunwater, which is the second of the 7 adventures that are compiled together in Ghost of Saltmarsh. Is there any other interesting things we're going to talk about? I'll let you guys know. I think that we're going to have a special episode of this show tomorrow. My mom is here. Yes, Mom, you were in the right place. Everything is cool. We are going to have a special episode of this show tomorrow morning, Monday, Labor Day. I think it's Labor Day. Labor Day morning, 10 a.m., in which I prepare for a one-shot game that I'm running later that day, which is going to be Madman at the Bridge in the Kobold Press Midgard Sagas book. So I thought it'd be fun to prep for a one-shot game. And I know people have said, like, yeah, this is great when you're doing an ongoing campaign in a published setting. What about doing a one-shot game? So we will have a one-shot game. And we'll have a prep session where we talk about a one-shot game. So if you happen to be around tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., I will probably do another show just like this. And keep an eye on my Twitter feed, twitter.com/slyflourish, to hear more about when that's going on. But it'll probably be going on tomorrow at 10 a.m. And you can also subscribe to Twitch. Subscribe to me on Twitch or follow me on Twitch. You don't have to subscribe. Follow me on Twitch, and you'll get a notification. So, the last week, this is interesting because there's a couple of things. I think I talked about this the last recording as well. I had the channel open in the background working Saltmarsh. I'm looking over your shoulder. I'm judging your preparation. Not really. So I talked about there's 2 kinds of interesting D&D sessions that go on that are both pretty advanced, that are both happening a lot in Ghosts of Saltmarsh. And those 2 things that happen, they're both really cool, I think. And one of them is in having the characters approach big situations, which is kind of my preferred style of running D&D these days. And then 2 is running downtime sessions in which the players have lots of time to kind of explore and investigate and chase down personal leads. And I've talked about this a bit on previous ones, and in the last few sessions, it's taken place a lot. So an example is the characters all make their way to the Haunted Mansion. They've already cleared it out. Well, so the players go to the Haunted Mansion. They find out there's a bunch of smugglers underneath it. And the situation is there are smugglers underneath the mansion. They have to figure out how to deal with the smugglers. A lot of times it's, they kind of didn't know they're there, and then suddenly there's a lot of them there. And it ends up being like a big multi-wave fight of dealing with smugglers. And they finish that up, and then they return to Saltmarsh and say, hey, we found smugglers. And now they have a downtime session where they have like 2 or 3 days while the council's figuring out what to do to kind of chase down leads and do personal investigations. And sometimes they're like, who's that shady guy that's following me around? Or I want to start the work on procuring a magic item, or, all different kinds of things. And the downtime stuff can happen both in email, but it can also happen at the session. So I had one player who wasn't there, or I can't remember if he was there. He wasn't at the downtime session, but he had things he wanted to do. So we did it back and forth in email, and that worked really well. And then at the beginning of the next session, Ari says, like, oh, here are the things that happened when I was doing my downtime activity. If they were offline, if they were online, if they were at the game, then they saw it. So So then they had their 2 or 3 days in Saltmarsh. They engaged in all of their various personal activities during the downtime session, and then it was okay. The council brings them together and says, "Hey, we want you to go back to the haunted mansion. We want you to find the smuggler's ship, get on board, and figure out where they're smuggling the weapons to. Right? Where are they smuggling the weapons?" And Dagar says that in campaign downtime lasts about 27 days. That's a lot of downtime. That's a big downtime session. Mine usually rests a few days to a week. So and I'm not saying mine's right. It's 27 days. I mean, if it works, right? Like that's the interesting thing about downtime is the downtime could be almost any length of time. It could be years. You could say like, hey, 3 years have gone by. What happened to your characters? And then suddenly you're back together for a new adventure. Like I think that would be a really interesting way to do downtime. So the characters did their downtime activity. The council sent them back. They said, get on the ship and figure out where those weapons are going. The smuggling, the smugglers down in the mansion were smuggling weapons. They were good weapons made for the King's Guard, the King Scotty's Guard up in Kioland, and which is the big kingdom in Greyhawk here. And we want to know where they're going. So the characters said, okay, and I said, like, here's the ship. And here's a bunch of guys in the ship. Here's what you see. And they kind of scouted it out a little bit. They had a little boat, and they're kind of looking at it. And they had one flying character. They said, what are we going to do? And they decided for the head-on approach. So they had one character who's an Aarakocra storm cleric. And he flew over the ship, and he hit the captain and the first mate with Thunderwave and blew them right off the ship. And then everyone else is freaking out. And then the rest of the group jumps on board the ship, and they're fighting everybody. And their surprise worked really well. But there's like 11 people on this ship, and there's level 2, right? So the captain and the first mate are off the ship, but the bosun is still there, and the bosun's a hard caliber. And eventually the captain makes it back on board the ship, and there's all kinds of like jumping up in the rigging and hitting people, using Thunderwave to try to knock as many people off the ship as possible. The sharks in the water. They, at one point, one of the characters, a Goliath, grapples the captain, and both of them go overboard the ship. And as they're dropping, the captain stabs the Goliath with a rapier, and he goes unconscious. So he falls in the water unconscious with sharks. And now he's drowning and unconscious and dying. And everyone's like, oh my God, we're going to lose this guy. And the captain's like standing there, like floating underwater. Her hair is all behind her, and she's got a rapier, and she's going to stab him. And she gets eaten by a shark right in front of him. He's like, oh my God. Right. So then there's this huge shark that they have to worry about. So it was a real fun, dynamic, cinematic, really big things happening, really fun adventure. And I think that, for me, setting that situation up, it went better than the first time I ran the Sea Ghost, because I think the goal was clearer, even though the goal was clearer, even though the situation was a lot more explosive. Like they just went in for a full-on attack, but they knew it. Like they knew that this is going to be tough. It's going to be hard for us to deal with this. So that worked really well, and everybody had a good time. And then they got the ship. So they used mending, and they repaired the ship, and they sailed it back into Saltmarsh. And our new session is beginning with them in Saltmarsh on another downtime session. This one will probably be on the order of a week. Now, 2 of the players are out, so we have 4 players there. I didn't really bring in subs because I'm like, bringing in subs for a downtime session seems a little weird. Like, what are they going to, spend a lot of time talking about your character when your character's only going to be there for one session. So I said, well, I'll just stick to whoever shows up. Even if it's, you can, nice thing about a downtime session, the nice thing about a downtime session is that you can run downtime sessions with, just a few people. And then they will jump into Danger at Dunwater if it goes on. But one of the goals for today's prep is to figure out what exactly are the things that they can do during this downtime session. Yes, the cat likes to jump on me on occasion. That was Carson. Maliki's being a good cat, sitting in her perch, relaxing, while Carson is, kind of being a big jerk. You're not being a big jerk, are you? You're a good kitty. Tail's about to go past. Yeah. Don't step on the keyboard. You're going to close things. Let's see. What else is going on? So that's kind of the big, that idea of oscillating between situations. That area is not big enough for 2 cats. But I guess they're going to try to figure it out. Look at him. He's going to sit on her. That's just mean. You're mean. You're a mean kitty. So this game seems to oscillate between these kind of big situations that go on and downtime sessions where people spend time in the town. So it's pretty interesting how that goes back and forth. And I would consider it a pretty advanced form of D&D. It is different than typical adventures where you have a real focused goal and you have multiple rooms that you go through and there's different people in different rooms, Not exactly like a railroad. Oh, here we go. Not exactly like a railroad, but more like a a more static environment with like clearer rooms. It's not these sort of like you got to take on an entire ship, and if you don't do it right, you're going to take it on all at once. But Dunwater, the next adventure, actually runs very similar to that. I'm distracted by my cat. Come here, kitty. There you go. Danger at Dunwater is very similar. We could talk about a little bit about that today, but I don't expect that my game is going to be heading into Danger at Dunwater. It might, for all I know, it will, because downtime sessions, it could be like we only spend a little bit of time on it. Interested in the renown system. So he's not your problem. I'll tell you. So here's a spoiler. I've already run Danger at Dunwater for my other group, and I completely threw that system away because it felt like it was too gross and specific, to when I can put my head in the characters and figure out how they would react to the players. So I'm writing about this in a big article. I just finished my first draft on a how to run Danger at Dunwater article. And Merrick Blackman had some interesting things to talk about too. And he brought up a good point, which is like the path where that adventure goes well is relatively narrow. Right. And Draga here says the difficulty of Dunwater is not having the characters going genocidal maniacs and slaughtering the lizard folk. And that's the real trick, that there's a careful balance between them going in assuming the lizard folk are nice people and then just having a conversation and then the whole adventure is over in 20 minutes, or them going in, fireballs blazing and they kill 50 lizard folk and then find out that the lizard folk were actually good guys and that the lizard folk weren't coming after the town. So it's a careful balance. And my recommendation, so what I did, and it really is going to depend heavily on your players, but what I did is I made it pretty clear that the characters didn't know that they were hostile, that was an open question. And you can do that by having the NPCs say that. The council gets together, they argue about it. Part of the council is saying we should go in there and murder everybody. The other part of the council is saying, hey, for all we know, they're good guys. And then they come out and they say, we need you to figure out what the motivation of the lizard folk are. And, you can return hostility with hostility, but, don't assume that they're completely evil. And the problem is that kind of plays the hand a little too early. But the alternative is they go in guns blazing and assume that hey, we have a chance to stop this invasion of Saltmarsh. So it's a tricky adventure to run. I lean towards if the adventure is going to get quote unquote ruined, it's better to ruin it in the direction that they learn too early that the lizard folk are nice people than it getting ruined by the murder hobo. So I would lean towards giving more information that the lizard folk are not necessarily hostile than the opposite, than hiding such information and having it turn into a slaughterfest. And then at the end of the slaughterfest, you find out that they were good people. So that was my, that was kind of that's what I write about in the article. And it was sort of how I've been playing it, that I want to ensure this is something where the DM has to be really careful to kind of put the right hints in place to ensure that the players won't go in there assuming that they're going to kill everybody. And then there's other opportunities to kill a lot of stuff. Go kill bullywugs, go kill oozes, and go kill Thousand Teeth, the crocodile. So there's, combat people are going to have a good time anyway. How did the lizard folk encounter and the sea ghost inform their activities? So the interesting bit was the lizard folk. So when the guy flew over, when Skylar flew over the sea ghost and blew it and hit it with a thunder wave, he blew the whole roof of he blew away part of the ship where the lizard folk were, and it blew the roof off of the lizard folk. And so all of a sudden there's 3 lizard folk with a bunch of playing cards, and they throw them all in the air like, oh my God. And the lizard folk basically let the smugglers and the pirates fight the whole time, and they never engaged. And instead they sat there with their tridents and used the table to kind of build a new roof. And one of the players was like, don't worry, poor lizard folk, we'll save you from these smugglers. And the lizard folk, no one spoke Draconic, so they couldn't understand the lizard folk. So the lizard folk did not attack. It was very clear that they didn't attack. And eventually, when they sort of let them out, the lizard folk all dove overboard and swam away. So they still don't know exactly what the motivation of the lizard folk are, but they do know that the weapons were going to the lizard folk. They have the map. They know where it's going, right? And they're going to bring that to the council. So that is pretty clear. But when we think about it, let's jump over to our notes. We can start taking notes here. Sublime. This is my notes for 1 September. So we'll start off. Let's go through the steps here. So characters. We have the Killer Whalers. We have Mac, who's played by Jerry, a Goliath grave cleric and smuggler from the jungles of Monmerg. Jerry should be here today. Worshipper Weejas, works with Kreb Shanker at the Empty Nest, the CD Bar, knows Anders Saltmarsh from the place, was a former smuggler in the Black Spire Confederacy. Oh, by the way, so the YouTube notes section no longer gives me enough room to paste these notes, so I now paste them as the first comment on YouTube. So if you happen to be watching this on YouTube and you want to see these notes, look at the first comment and you will see the notes. I'm going to paste this whole section of notes in there. We have Bleth, Juliet, a human paladin of Procan. Ink Black Whale ate her parents. She threw herself off the drop, but Skylar caught her. Raised by Farron, and is a dock ward for Anders Saltmarsh. Everybody sort of has a connection to Anders Saltmarsh. Skylar is Brian the Aarakocra Storm Cleric, knows Welgar, saved Bleth, brought Dave and Corvell to Welgar when they came ashore. We have Dave J. Jay is out, so we will skip him. And Thurvin, Pat, is out. So today we have Corvell. Just moving them. We have Corvell, human fighter, who's a fisher who got knocked in the head. He's a worshiper of Zygag, proselytizes Zygag. I have an interesting thing here. And he and Dave are both served by Ida Oland. Ida pays Dave the stipend, so they have a connection to the council as well. But all of them are really working for, at this point, Anders Saltmarsh, who's kind of the neutral party on the council who often brings the characters in, which, of course, is a secret. One of the secrets is that Anders has a secret advisor. I don't know if that will come out, but we will see. What was the other? There was another secret that we just talked about. Hammering out secrets. I did my first playthrough of Saltmarsh series 20 years ago with AD&D. Yeah, I never played. This is fun for me because I never played Saltmarsh before. I knew of it, I'd heard of it, but I never really. I don't know if I ever even read it. So this is my first real run of the adventure. But I think it's very interesting to take some of the best old adventures and sort of rewrite them in the new style. It's pretty good. So how long does Danger at Dunwater run? So that's a key, right? I'm running Ghost of Saltmarsh as a series of open table one-shot adventures. I need to account for hard stop time when running the one-shots. So if I were in your shoes, I would have Dunwater run one session. You could maybe run it in two. And the way I ran it and the way I think it works well is that you get to the point where the characters are not hostile with the lizard folk quickly, and they're brought to the Queen Othicant, and Queen Othicant says, I'm interested in potentially allying with the people of Saltmarsh, but it's custom in our lizard folk tribe that you show us your prowess, and I have two quests for you. Quest number 1 is you have to find and destroy Thousand Teeth. We worship crocodiles, but this one's really bad and has been eating our lizard folk. We can't fight it. We need you to fight it. And so we need you to hunt down and kill Thousand Teeth. And quest number 2 is there's a band of bullywugs who have been causing us problems, and they recently stole a helm that we consider to be a holy relic of ours. And we want you to go find the bullywugs, kill them, find the bullywugs, and get back the helm. And ideally, get rid of the threat. So like a sub bonus is a threat. And that way you have nice, clear D&D style adventures where they go and they find the crocodile and they fight it. You can throw like a random encounter along the way. You could probably do both of those in one session if you kind of got it real quick. I would. That's a solid 4-hour session. It's a little tight for a 4-hour session. It's probably 5 hours to run something like that. But you can almost get Dunwater done in a single session if they go in with negotiation in mind to begin with. That's certainly a way to run it. I'm in a good spot because I'm running it as an ongoing campaign, so I'll just let it take as long as it wants and throw whatever I want in there to, whatever's fun at the moment works for me. Genre says Dunwater in 2 3-hour sessions. That I think that's about how it went. That's how it went for my other group. I had some interesting things that I threw in the way, and I'll talk about it when I talk more about Dunwater. But one of the things I did is I had an assassin. So after they finished the second quest and got rid of the bullywugs, they came back and they met a sea elf ambassador who couldn't talk real well, like couldn't speak, was so used to speaking underwater. And then so they met the sea elf ambassador. Sea elf ambassador bowed to them. And then that night they woke up and everyone's freaking out, and someone had tried to assassinate the queen. And they thought it was the sea elf, but it was actually this Malenti, which is a Sahuagin spy and assassin. That there's a very rare Sahuagin that can appear to be a sea elf, but have that like the same viciousness of the Sahuagin. So this one had let the four prisoner Sahuagin go free, and then tried to assassinate the queen. And then the group sort of runs in the room, and there's this, sea elf assassin looking all mean with 4 Sahuagin there. So I think that's a fun little subplot to throw in, which means that you can really sort of fill out these 3. You can fill out 2 sessions. Generally had to pare down the material to fit so that people reach a conclusion at the end of the session. Yeah, like I think sort of like session 1 is. So I'll tell you, I ran it in 2 3-hour sessions and it fit perfectly. And the way those sessions worked was session 1 was they get to the lizard folk lair. They fought the lizards as they came in. It was just lucky that they picked the entrance with the lizards. They fought some lizards, but only killed one of them. And then they ended up in parley with the queen, and the queen said, "We want you to do these 2 quests, and one of them is kill Thousand Teeth, and the other one is get rid of the bullywugs." And so they went after Thousand Teeth, and then they got to Thousand Teeth, and they fought him, and they killed him, and that was the end of session 1. Session 2, they went back, they met the sea elf ambassador, and then they were sent off to go after the bullywugs. They went after the bullywugs. They fought a gelatinous cube with a relic stuck inside it along the way. Then they fought the bullywugs. That was another big situation. We'll talk about that in another episode. They fought the bullywugs. They got the crown. It was a crown in mine. It was actually a helm. They went back to the queen, and then the queen said, "I'm going to contemplate how to, best set up the alliance. I want you to stay here." And then that night was when the assassin struck, and that was the end of that session. So the beginning of the 3rd session is going to be dealing with the assassins of the queen. But that's also going to be like the end of the Dunwater, and then the next big downtime session. So I guess that's not exactly 2 3-hour sessions. It's a little bit more than 3-hour sessions. So it doesn't fit perfectly. And it's hard to tune these things, right? I'd say plan for a few scenes and then have some random encounters ready to kind of fill the time up. There's some interesting encounters that could occur along the way. There's like a big ooze problem going on. It'd be kind of fun to play with the ooze problem. So what else? So we have our characters. Oh, I was hammering through secrets. This is all stuff that they're learning in the downtime session. What else? IUs. I want to do some stuff with IUs. So I was late to the show because I was looking up stuff about IUs. Where did I have it? Where IUs rules from? The flatness. Rules a broad swath of the flatness known as the Empire of IUs. But then he also has a location. Doraka. So here's a character secret, right? So I have like a couple of general secrets. Iuz is the demigod who rules from land far away called the Flatness in a city known as Drorka, the city of skulls. He hates St. Cuthbert and Zygag, but agents of Iuz are probably always looking for like remnants of Zygag. Zygag is, I guess, another god. I don't know anything about Zygag. I think Zygag was one of the ones that trapped Iuz. God of humor, eccentricity, occult lore, and unpredictability. Yeah, I thought there was something about how Zygag trapped Iuz or something like that, or followers of Zygag. So when I'm in my little version, Iuz is hunting down, and as their agents of Iuz are curious about Corvel because Corvel keeps talking about Zygag all the time, and that has gotten word back. So they're curious about. They want to know more. Zagig, is it Zagyg? Yeah. They want to know more about Zagig. Kitty, that is not good. You're going to scratch the hell out of me. I'm crawling on my lap. So we're going to have a new NPC. So we have Captain Zendros, right? I know this is going to come up today because Brian, who plays Skylar, is interested in getting a new magic item, and Captain Zendros of the Faithful Quartermaster of Iuz is trying to get it. So Zendros is going to bring a new names. Bormos. Bormos is a good name. Bormos Riddleheart. That's a good one. Bormos Riddleheart. A noble from what's it called? What did I just say? Noble of the Flatness. He's a noble of Doraka. Did I do it right this time? Or did I do it the wrong way? Was the ruler of the city of Greyhawk who trapped Iuz and the 8 other deities in order to become a god. Aha, interesting. So Bormos has some magic items available. And he's willing to sell them at a discount because they're cursed. They allow... they act as a conduit so that sages back in Doraka can scry upon them and learn from them and maybe even charm them and stuff. So pretty, yeah. So I think that, that's definitely happening. And I think the players will certainly, they're sharp. They'll figure that out, but I don't know if the characters might do it anyway. So, and the reality is, like, I don't know how tied he is into Zagig. So the character, which means they might go, yeah, we're wasting our time. We're keeping an eye on him, but we're wasting our time. But you never know. could be other. It could be other. So a fourth faction, the followers of Ayuz, are here, along with the Scarlet Brotherhood. And maybe like you could, one could trick the other. Secret society has infiltrated Saltmarsh. Some believe they are there to bridge the gap between traditionalists and loyalists. Others believe they only want power for themselves. That is the Scarlet Brotherhood. This is known as the Brotherhood. It's actually the Scarlet Brotherhood. What else? We got lots of secrets. So I think it's going overboard with secrets during a downtime session isn't so bad, because there's going to be a lot of what happens during downtime sessions is revealing secrets and clues. The Black Death is a giant tentacled whale. It's probably a kraken. Let's be blunt about it. I bought a kraken miniature. I bought the WizKids kraken. This guy. So I'm using that thing. I'm pretty sure. I like that 3D ship. Laser cut wood ship. That's pretty cool. That's what happens. I find stuff online. I think that, the neat thing about that ship is you can do A, you can take it apart and carry it. But B, you can have people on multiple decks at the same time. Right? That's pretty sweet. $35. It's not bad. 5 reviews. Sorry. Shopping on Amazon. Yeah, so having lots of secrets. Anyway, the Black Death is probably a kraken. Not only did I already get the kraken mini, but I also took a picture with Bleth's character facing off against the kraken and emailed it to her, and she's like, ah! Let's see. Do you find your players can keep up with the factions in any given campaign? No. And sometimes they never come up, and that doesn't matter. But I don't know that I've had, this one has more of this sort of stuff. So, okay, I mean, so I ran Waterdeep Dragon Heist for this group, right? And they kept up with everything there. And if I had factions, I had, what's her name? I never did get the Black Spider. I think, as you see, a Black Viper, right? Black Viper was a thief. I never really had her make a big impact in either of my runnings of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, even though I introduced her, because they fade away. So the group's lens is whatever happens, and if something's outside the lens, then it doesn't matter, right? Then I let it go. So if the whole Ayuz things never really goes anywhere, then it never goes anywhere. The same could be true with the Scarlet Brotherhood. Maybe it never really comes up, and it never really matters too much. So then I set it aside. That idea that the factions, whatever's in front of the characters, you want the world to feel bigger than them. So if they learn, wow, there's 2 other factions here besides the Loyalists and Traditionalists, that's crazy, right? But, oh shit, I know that guy, Captain Zendro, the gal Captain Zendros, she's probably part of that the followers of Ayuz. She has it in her name. So some of the factions are overt, right? But then other ones like, it's okay if it's a mystery. I think Ed Greenwood wrote a thing about cultists in the Forgotten Realms, and he said like, there's always 3 more cultists in the character, or 3 more groups of cultists than the characters know about, and it's like that's probably true. There's lots of cultists. If they come up, they come up. If they don't, they don't. This is why we do our lightweight prep, right? Because look, you've seen my whole investment in this is right now. I don't have like a big map. I don't have a crazy yarn, FBI profiler chart up with how the factions are working, because I don't want to get too rooted in it, right? And I bring them up, and things happen during the game, and the world changes as the game gets exposed. So you have seen the total amount of effort that I have put into these factions, which means if they don't happen, then they don't happen. All right, so I'm good on secrets and clues, I think. There are a couple areas that I really need to take care of. So a strong start. I've already done the big storm. They already saw a big storm, and they already saw things out in the storm. They've got their ship. I don't mind. Let's take a look at Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and let's take a look at random encounters that could occur. So Saltmarsh region, I think. This is going to take a look. I think that maybe the end has. So yeah, let's hang on. Let's go back to the sample ships. Travel at sea, encounters at sea. Let's use the appendix, right? The appendix has some good stuff in here. So they're only going through. They don't even have a crew, really. I guess they have a couple. They got the bosun. But so I think they could have a. Let's see. So let's see. We'll just do some randomness here. Is there a hazard? At the start of each day of an ocean voyage, we're on a 20. The ship faces a hazard. They do not face a hazard. Each day a ship spends at sea with a crew conflict. I don't have to worry about that because there's no crew conflict. It's not even really a crew. If they were going to have something like this, let's take a look. That was a 15. A 15 would be a storm. I already had a storm, but we'll have another storm. Each day, ship spends involved in the storm requires the board of the captain also roll 20 for it to determine, consult the storm check. Did it say what kind of storm it is? Where do I get the kind of storm? Specifically, to deal with the following hazards, but they don't say like which one it is. I think there's not a list of storm types. We will. I don't know. I'll roll and see how it goes. They rolled a 19. That sounds like a hurricane. It's a little too real, huh? Nah, we're not going to do that. So here, you could have a blue hole. That'd be kind of neat. We'll probably save those for later. These are all kinds of weird things that can occur. Magical storms. Shipwrecks, whirlpools. Encounters at sea. Okay, random encounter. For each day of the voyage, roll a d20. Well, I'm going to have an encounter. So, all right. And then we roll a d100. 182. 82 is a lich. A ship. Ooh, generated at random. A vessel statistics. So they find another ship. This is interesting. So let's roll a d100 on this. 0, 4. It is a rowboat. They find a rowboat. I don't think the rowboat is going to have a name. You generate a crew using the ship's purpose section below. What are they carrying? They are a cargo ship hauling goods, commoners with a probably commoners with a couple of guards. That would be kind of interesting. So let's say they run into a rowboat and they're carting some goods. Ooh. So what if it's a smuggler ship? So this is how randomness helps build things if you watch carefully. So one of the things that happened is Gellin Prime Water's booze. So things are going bad for Gellin Prime Water. He sent a rowboat out with some of his booze. But I think it's going to get attacked by something else. Is this the same section? Yeah, so let's see what it gets attacked by. 45. Ooh, what are these guys? Open water encounters. Coloniths would be cool. Yeah. Gets attacked by coloniths. Coloniths, they're not particularly. Once per turn, coloniths can deal an extra 7 damage to creatures with the weapon attack. 5 feet an ally. Marshall will do 6 of these. So the characters are level 3. So an even fight is CR1. So if you had 4 characters, you'd have 4 CR1s would be an even fight. So you could do as many as 8 of these. That would be a hard fight. But we'll go with 6. Because some of them will swim away. It attacks by 6. So that was in my head. Here's a little trick. Let's see what the encounter builder says. My encounters. Create new. Colinth, add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have manage characters. We have 4 characters of level 3. And now that is considered deadly. Oh, that's 6. Yeah, see? So I'm able to pretty well judge how a difficulty in my head, which is pretty good. Which is essentially like half the CR of the. I think this is a little on the difficult side. Is that half the challenge rating of the level of the characters? If the character's level 3, challenge rating is 1.5. You round it down to 1. That is even Steven for 1 character per party member, and then half of that would be 2 character per 2 monsters per party member. If it's about a half of the CR, these guys are half a CR, which would be 8. But I'm pretty sure 8 is just over deadly. Yeah, 7 is over deadly too. So 6 is just about right, and I said about 6 because 8 felt hard. I think that's true when you get to lower than 5. Anyway, okay, so yeah, okay, so that's good. That's a strong start, and then when they get back to Saltmarsh, there's an investigation into Gellin Primewater. So that's good. Fantastic locations we don't really need to worry about today. And NPCs, I've really just added Bormos Riddleheart, who is the noble of Dorica, who's going to deal with Skylar. And then Oceanus, who they rescued. So we're going to play the rest of these by ear. My NPC list is just insane. I think I'm going to pull the gold blades out of here just to keep my list a little shorter. Do I have Scarin? Yeah, I have so many NPCs. It's crazy. Monsters, we have Colants. So one of the things I think is always worth doing is like reading the background of a creature. So, yeah, they don't really have, is that all it says about them? They're aquatic hobgoblins, brightly colored faces and functional gills. All right. So they're a little bit militaristic, and they want them they're smuggling. Treasure. So the one player who loves him some magic items. He's always asking about magic items and always wants magic items. Is a Aarakocra Storm Cleric. So I think. I think he likes armor. So if we did like a cloak of protection would be one good item. Where's my relics? And maybe a piece of armor. So do Aarakocra have an armor limit? I'm totally not spelling Aarakocra right. Race Aarakocra. Is there a limit on them flying in armor or anything like that? Can't be wearing medium or heavy armor. So light armor. So what he would like is light armor. Sometimes the search does not help me. Armor and shields. He'd probably like a shield too. So light armor would be up to studded leather. So a magical suit of studded leather. It's +1. And it has a spell effect that it can do once a day. Let's go order by level range, and we'll go into the middle. Spike growth, branding smite, gentle repress, scorching ray, beast sense, lesser restoration, crown of madness, mood beam, protection from poison. That's not bad. You figure like an armory thing would be good. Non-detection. What's that like? Third level, 1 action, touch. It lasts 8 hours. So non-detection gets rid of scrying. Except what if it didn't? What if it did for everybody but Ayuz's guys? That's pretty great. I dig that, right? So like it's a magical suit of armor. it's this like sleek, it's a sleek suit of armor that can be worn by an Aarakocra that makes him sort of like stealthy, right? So maybe it gives him, could there be another sort of bonus to stealth? Is there any kind of armor thing that gives a bonus to stealth? This can. We'll just give it +2 bonus. And cast non-detection once a day. Those are interesting traits in this. It's probably Dark Elven. Dark Elven. And let's randomly roll some other magic items here. We'll go to Donjon. Donjon 5th edition magic items. Random treasure generator. We will do CR3. We will do treasure hoard. Dust of disappearance is pretty good. What else? A potion of hill giant strength. A figurine of wondrous power, silver raven. That's pretty good too. Those are uncommon. All right, so got some interesting magic items that our friend Bormos Riddleheart sells, and then the question is, how much does he sell it for? This will be like our last little thing today. Is we're going to go into the source books and Xanathar's guide, and we're going to look at downtime activities, and we'll talk about buying a magic item. Purchasing magic item takes money. 100 gold piece in expenses just to get the thing. We're gonna skip most of the like how to get a higher one and all of that, and then the magic item price. So the cost for the cloak of protection is 200 gold pieces. The armor I'm going to treat as, I'm going to roll twice on this because that armor is pretty good. So that's 800 gold pieces for the armor. They don't have this kind of money yet. The Dust of Disappearance is uncommon. 5, that's 200. We'll do 100 gold pieces. And 100. Oh, Hill Giant Strength is that rare? Potion of Hill Giant is uncommon. Okay. So we'll do 100. We'll do 200 gold pieces for that. Figurine of wondrous power. Silver raven. Figurine is uncommon. And that one, 300 gold pieces. And these are, of course, cursed. Like the Silver Raven actually works for Ayus. So, yeah, so there's some treasure. I have an after game notes section. I totally don't remember what these notes are about. Artis Alette is, yeah, so knows about the smuggling. I don't know who the hell Lauren Stormsword is. Yeah, so downtime sessions are going to be interesting. I'm probably going to spend a little time, even though the show is over. I've got to go pack up my stuff. But I think if I've got a few extra minutes, I'm going to take a look. Oh, let's look at Saltmarsh's downtime activities. I don't think it had anything. So if we go to, downtime activities. Let's just take a quick look. So downtime activities, Captain Zendros, Faithful Quartermaster, Magic Items, we just did all that. 50 gold piece retainer. So there's some carousing that can be done, and with whom. Some research, employment, mercenary work. Yeah, so there's a little bit. Bye, Mom. Thanks for coming. Yep, I'm taking off. I think we're going to end this show, too. So, yeah, so I think I've got my notes where I want. We'll figure out how things go. People will talk. And then worst case, I will start the Danger at Dunwater. But since I already have like a nice little encounter in the beginning, we'll see how things go. I never really know. But worst case, I think a lot of it is they are going to have sort of the trial of, I think that's one of the scenes that could come up, is the trial of Gellin Primewater. I think that's going to be a thing. So we will see. So I want to thank everybody for coming today. I always appreciate all the folks who come live and chat. And thanks to all of you who watch on YouTube. And we will be here again probably tomorrow morning. So if you come tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., take a look on Twitter just in case something happens. But my expectation is I'm going to have another session in which I prepare for my one-shot Kobold Saga, Midgard Sagas single-shot adventure called Madman at the Bridge. So if you want to see preparation for a single shot game, that will be the time to do it. So again, thanks for everybody for coming. I always appreciate it. And I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow morning. Have a great day.